Ari, when you're hi, when you're building a process, there is always this phase with the users of the process where you map the process, you have all the details, but then you have a lot of exceptions that arise, and they ended up being like a slightly variation of the process. So, for example, you let's take a simple example. You map how to pay an invoice. You have a perfect process already. Someone else checked it. But then when you're building the automation, a lot of things start to pop up. Like, for example, oh, but once a month we have someone paying with a check. Oh, I have this client
Mm.
that asked me an exception. I want to pay cash, and it's a big client. And then you end up with a list of 10 sub processes that ended up being different and messing up with what you already automated. If you can give like tips or how to better map them before building the automation.
Yeah, great question. So a lot of time, remember, original idea with us doing is optimize, then automate, then outsource, right? So I actually will not automate a process when I build it from scratch. If I have a process that's been around for a long time in a business, and then I want to put it into a more updated version, then I might automate things as I build it. But when I'm building a new process, I rarely will build the automations until it's been used several times. Right. So like with this Airtable thing, with this rescue squad stuff, right away I did build the automation that if it comes into jot form, then actually, no, that's not true. What the first thing I did was we had a very sort of old, rudimentary, long, antiquated application on our WordPress site that was a WordPress form. So the first thing that I did was rebuild that form in jot form and then replace that in Airtable. And now, I'm sorry, replace that. And that was it. So for the first like 10 applications, they just went into JotForm and nothing else happened beyond that because that was already an improvement. I would have an alert, it was just a simple email notification from JotForm to our new member coordinator that a new application came in and they could review the application and still really maintain the same process as it was before. But the issue previously was that these WordPress forms were getting lost in spam no matter what we did. So then I built the reference part where it's like, okay, now we're going to send each person that's on the reference an email and we're going to have the automation. And then after that, that's when I started putting stuff into Airtable. So if you're building it from scratch, I like to spend a little bit more time sort of swimming in the optimization thing before we get into automations. Now, once we do build the automations and we have people going through this, there are absolutely going to be exceptions. So there's sort of two things. One is when I train an organization or a person on how to use a new, updated OAO process, I'm going to tell them, like, I want you to actively look for opportunities that we can improve this and things that can change. And so, like, I just trained somebody on this recruiting process the other day. And as I was going through the training with him, which was like 10 minutes on Zoom, he had 3 suggestions, which were really good. And I built those into the process. So sort of building that into the training with the people that like, hey, I want you to be part of improving this process. So if there's something that doesn't make sense or that I'm missing, like, tell me about it and we'll memorialize it in the process. Lastly, is that I've experimented with this with positive results, is that when I have a new process that I've automated and I have somebody sort of going through it, I'll build in something at the very end where it's like a feedback form for the person who did the process, right? So what about this process did you like or not like? And surprising, actually, and you make that part of the process. So they can't really close out the process tree checklist or whatever it is until they do that. And it could be nothing, it could be, whatever. But I've found that that's been actually really, really helpful because everybody's going to have a different take on it.
Thank you.
Thank you.